Revisiting with an old friend tonight as we bring Tepoe Nash in to talk to us about his music on the 9 o'clock news local edition here on Rock 93.7. Tepoe, you were one of the early ones that we had in on this show, and it's been, goodness, I don't know how long since we've had you in.
It's been over a year, I think, yeah.
You have been busy, though. In that year, you were what I would refer to as a local artist worldwide.
Yeah.
Because you do the local thing, but you also have pushed your music out onto the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And really pursue hard as far as going after people in other countries and different places.
Man. Yeah. You know, what's neat is, there's different styles of music are still very popular in other countries, and you never know where your audience is. And that's one of the reasons I've been pushing it so hard, because I'm just trying to find my audience. That's the reason I play music anyways, for the fans, that like it. That's not the only reason, but, that's one of the main reasons, to get the beneficial feeling of somebody, enjoying what you've created.
You make music for you on some level, but really there's an aspect of it that is, hey, listen to this.
Yeah.
And you found a market that's, not just local. You kind of have pushed out, but you are looking towards getting more into the local area?
Oh, well, I'm looking at all avenues, music, it's something right now I'm just recording pretty much everything myself, with an exception of some of the country stuff. I've got some session musicians that's
You are reaching out to some other performers.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to talk about where you're heading with that, what your plans are for the tracks that you've been working on, and share a little bit with Tepoe Nash on the 9 o'clock news local edition here on Rock 93.7. One whole album recorded and under his belt, and since then, he's kind of moved into the area of just, playing around, really.
Yeah.
It's the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Speaking tonight with Tepoe Nash, who is, at the moment, a solo artist. I think last time that we spoke with you, you have been doing music for a really long time. I want to say over 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And in that time frame, you have worked with some other people. You have done the band thing, and now you've just kind of decided to focus solely on the whole performing solo thing, as far as recording your music by yourself, doing all the instruments yourself, writing the songs, and not so much because you haven't found people to play with.
No, it's something that, I love doing. And I've kind of decided to start releasing singles versus an album, because I can kind of, jump around from genres. I actually experimented. I had a single that I put out a little while back, was a reggae type island, some music. And actually I might have a couple radio stations in Aruba and Curacao and those places airing it. I don't know, but I've sent it to them. So I don't, I'm not there. So, experimenting in other areas, but, I've still got the rock. I grew up in rock and country and bluegrass. So, I've got that in me. So
a little calypso music.
Yeah.
Then, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you threw that together to just kind of experiment and see where you could go with it. And then you've got the outlet of, as you said, you've sent it to a few stations. You do the internet radio thing. You kind of focus on that, and that is your outlet. Not so much getting out and performing live, although I think that's a goal for you at some point.
Well, maybe in some point, I wouldn't mind going back to that, but you can't perform all the instruments live yourself. So,
you can, but it doesn't look all that great when you do it, and it doesn't quite go as well. You've got this strapped to that, and this is on here, and got a little monkey with a grinder thing over here. It's just probably not the way that you should go with your music. But you have been experimenting. You said you did the island thing earlier. And, You've also done something a little bit lovey-dovey.
Yeah, I put
You did a ballad. I don't think you had a ballad on your album before,
no,
did you?
Not before. I actually did, like a country rock type song, a couple years back that was, in the love genre, But this is more of like, it's more into rock, but it's like a country rock. It's got a little country flavor in my vocals, That's something that I try to mix, like I said, I always have a rock, influence from, all my rock playing through the years, but
usually you focus more on the up-tempo type topics and the more, let's party type topics. This is more devotion type thing.
Yeah.
Well, was that easy to write or hard to write?
Well, it was easy because, I did it for my wife for Valentine's Day. I kind of, the song kind of, I thought, well, I need to write her a song for Valentine's. It'd be pretty neat. And once I wrote it and I played it a couple times, I thought, man, this sounds pretty good. So I might want to go ahead and, and release it. So I put it out on Valentine's Day for her. So, and she was really, I kind of surprised her with it. So, it was a big surprise. She, she really liked it. So,
Did you still have to get candy and flowers too, or?
Oh yeah, that's a standard.
But honey,
so.
here's a song. Yeah, that song's not going to look good at work. All right. Well, you did turn it out. We are going to share it with everyone now.
Okay,
this is Tepoe Nash, Your Love Rescued Me, on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. He learned to play guitar, he learned to play drums early on, and then he just kind of got his fingers into everything else. Talking with Tepoe Nash tonight on the 9 o'clock news local edition here on Rock 93.7. Tepoe is a solo performer at the moment. You do your own mixing. You've got your own little studio set up.
Yeah, I'm working with Pro Tools now. The first album that I put out, The Great Spengali, I did it on a 8-track digital recorder. It was like a little Roland thing that I had, and that was before Pro Tools, that I got involved with. But now I'm using Pro Tools, and it's so easy, to work with. So, of course, I don't use the auto-tune feature.
No, we stay away from the auto-tune. That's
I said, I talked to you about that before.
Yeah, I think last time we spoke to you, we both agreed.
Yeah.
Auto-tune, not so good.
I might not sound that great on some parts. I might go out of key, but that's just me. You know what I mean? I'd rather keep it all, organic.
I don't want to go with the whole spiritual thing because it's kind of that route, but it kind of falls into that area in a way because it's an outlet.
Yeah.
It allows you to get across what you feel inside. And you do that with your songwriting.
Well, exactly, man. To me, music, it's more than just something that you turn on as like background music. To me, it's, because music can change your mood. I mean, if you study science and physics, everything's a song. You know what I mean? I've studied that quite a bit, science, they're getting down into, string theory where they think everything's just a vibration. So if that's true, then everything's just music. So I have points that I like to really get into it, to what the song's about and, the feeling of it. And,
there is a music type for every mood that we have. And you just basically go with the mood that you're in as far as the music type that you're working on. A lot of it feel-good stuff. We had earlier your first, I said ballad. I think that kind of fits, though, because really that's what the emotion that you were going for was. So that was a little bit different songwriting style for you.
Yeah.
Came easy, though, because the subject matter, as you said, it was basically a lyrical love letter to your wife.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that was kind of easy grounds. What's the hardest subject matter you've tackled for songwriting?
Actually, as far as like subject matter, that's my hardest point is really figuring out what subject I want to write about, because a lot of my songs are inspirational. But I have sat down, I'm trying to do that, like the Nashville songwriters, sat down with a topic and trying, but I'm still working on that process. That's something I've got to work on.
When it comes to writing, they've always said, write what you know. I don't think it applies just to books. I think it applies to music as well because, well, it's like writing the lyrical love letter to your wife. It's something that you knew. So not so much maybe in the subject way, but as far as the way you do your melodies and things, is that something that's easier to tackle?
Well, it's getting a little bit easier, but, there's some songs. I've actually got 2 songs right now. They're rock songs that I've had for probably 8 or 9 years, just not a complete song. I've got like some riffs and, I think it's, could be some good songs, and I've not discarded them, but, they're like, I want to finish them, but I get there and it's like, it's not there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of hard to explain, it's,
some things come easier than others and some fall into the extra challenge wheel and you work on those a little longer.
I've got several songs that's in the challenge area where I think they're good songs, but it's just not clicking, you know what I mean? And I'll revisit them, and hopefully that'll come. That's like The Great Spengali. There was a couple songs on there that I'd had for several years, but, like these, they were just not there. Then, when I started that album, they just clicked.
You revisited them, and there they came through. Well, we're going to revisit with Tepoe a little bit later as we continue our interview tonight on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. A single at a time and taking it worldwide, it looks like, too. That's what we're discussing tonight with Tepoe Nash on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Tepoe has been working on, I think you told me earlier, we've got the album. You've had that for a while. Spingali is kind of an older album.
Yeah, it's an older album, yes.
And your newer stuff, you're releasing it not so much as an album. I think whenever you do an album, some people fall into the trap of, well, it's got to be connected. Do you feel that way?
Sort of, yeah, because I think that's why I've kind of went the single route, because I've got so many different types of music that I want to work on. I've got country songs that I want to finish, and I've actually got a couple more reggae type songs that I've got that, want to work on. And then I've got a lot of rock. Actually, I'm working on a couple blues right now, and I've actually got one song. It's like a country rock, and I'm gonna release it later this year. And I've got one Hall of Fame member that's on it, a picker that's in the Hall of Fame, and I might possibly have two. He's actually committed, but he's not on the track yet. So
now this is you reaching out, because generally you do all your own instruments and things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I want to expand. You want to continue to grow in music and get better. That's what I'm trying to do.
When you say Hall of Fame, you mean Country Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's a Country Music Hall of Fame. There's actually he's a good friend of mine, Wayne Moss. So I'll mention him. He's already on the track. He actually played Pretty Woman for Roy Orbison, the famous lick of Pretty Woman. And he's doing a guitar part on one of my new singles. I mean, it's awesome. He played with Bob Dylan. He was on Blonde on Blonde. You remember that?
That right there is got to be enough. Just those knowing what he's accomplished.
Yeah, he's got so many
getting him
credits,
to come on board.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got to be an ego boost of sorts.
Oh well, I mean, it's just a great feeling to know that he's and when he was recording it in Cinderella Studio there, that's his studio. It's actually the oldest working studio in Nashville now. All Steve Miller's recorded there. I mean, this guy's recorded with everybody. You know what I mean? When I was watching him record the guitar part on one of my songs there, and I was sitting in the studio and I was watching that, and it was just like the feeling was sort of like when you're a kid at Christmas and you walk in. I was just getting ready to say. And you walk in and you see that big truck and it's like, man,
Oh, that's for me?
Yeah. But he's such a great friend, and it's an honor. I actually played live with him back several years ago. I did several live shows with him. I've got another guy, so I'm not going to mention him. He's kind of said that he'd be on the track, but he's a Hall of Fame member also. So
a lot of these tracks you work pretty much by yourself. I think we've established that you do a lot of your own instruments, and that kind of holds you back as far as getting out and being able to perform, because you really can't play all those. But have you thought about approaching it from a acoustic standpoint, just you and a guitar?
Well, I did some of that for a couple of years down there. I did a lot of songwriter shows, and actually I played alongside in country music. A lot of people know Josh Thompson. I played with a lot of rounds where there's people signed. I did some, and I had sort of some success in that. And I had one session I wished I'd recorded. I had Neil Young's. His name is Clinton Gregory. He played the fiddle for Neil Young. Clinton played fiddle, and I had a harp player. Man, I wished I'd had something like this set up to where I could have recorded that session, but it was
missed
live.
Out on having the tape rolling.
Yeah, it was at the Hall of Fame Lounge. I played the Bluebird Cafe in Hall of Fame.
So you do every once in a while take the opportunity.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just about making tracks. Like this other song that you've got that we're going to talk about, Let's Rock.
Yeah, Let's Rock, it goes back to my roots. See, when I first started, my dad, he wanted me to play guitar, and he played bluegrass, gospel bluegrass, and which I love that music also. I ventured into rock, and this song's kind of special to me because I played rock all those years. And it came about, like I said, when I was thinking about that great classic rock sound. It's kind of special in that regard to me. What really made me feel good was I had it mastered at Abbey Road Studio. There were the Beatles, and they actually tweeted it out on their Twitter page, and the mastering engineer tweeted it out on his page, and that was a good feeling too, because
to have your song come out of the same place that the Beatles did, got to be a great feeling.
Well, and them to put it on their page, that was, I was like, man, that's so neat. It was a good feeling, and I thanked Lucy, that was the lady over there at Abbey Road. I thanked her, for sharing that.
Let's share this. It's Let's Rock. It's Tepoe Nash on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. We've been talking tonight with Tepoe Nash on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. A couple of new tracks from you. You are releasing these things on YouTube and your Facebook. Yeah.
Well, actually, Twitter more than Facebook. I've got it on Facebook also, but I've been having more success on Twitter, I think because, Tepoe, Twitter,
Something along those lines? That whole alliteration thing comes into play. But if it works to your favor, it works to your favor.
But I love both, all social. I just been trying to get it out on social, and it just expand to, more fans.
Now, every once in a while on Twitter, you post up that, hey, your song has made it somewhere else. Because you are doing that, as we mentioned earlier, you're going for that international thing as opposed to just focusing solely on the local. You're trying to get your music anywhere it can be heard by anybody. That's the great thing about the interwebs these days, as far as the impact it has on people just making music that haven't been signed or haven't been picked up. It gives them an outlet to actually get material released.
Oh, yeah. Back when I did, music years ago in the earlier rock bands, what I'm doing now, there was no possibility of that without a major label, And And that's one disadvantage is of there's so much out there. It's hard to cut through the blend, but the advantage is you can if you just keep working at it. And, there's avenues there. It's not like a dead end.
Where there's a will, there's a way, or in this case, where there's a Wi-Fi, there's a way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, they can find you online. They can check you out. I think you said Twitter and Facebook. Give them where they can find you there.
At Tepoe N. It's at TEPOEN. That's my Twitter handle. And then Facebook, it's just Facebook / Tepoe Nash Music.
And he's got songs up there. And, of course, you also post those up at YouTube, too. So when he gets new singles out, he's going to share them, especially that new one you're working on. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, yeah.
Thank you, Tepoe, for talking with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Greg. Man, it's an honor, and it's an honor to be listened by you guys, too. And just thanks for tuning in.
This has been the 9 o'clock News Local Edition with Tepoe Nash tonight here on Rock 93.7.